So the timer has now gone off. It is time to rinse off the foam that I've kept on for a half an hour. And I just have a glass. So what they recommend to do is to use, I guess, a water source that isn't pressurized. When they were cleaning my hair the first time after the procedure, they did use sort of like a shower head, but it was really, really low pressure. And I'm not sure if my shower can do that yet. So they say usually within the first 5 days to keep it to a glass and to fill it up with either lukewarm or cold water, never hot water. You don't want to damage the follicles. But if it is a bit too cold for you, you can use lukewarm water. So that's what I'm going to try get the tap to now. And yeah, I guess the main thing is just to see if I can do this process in this sink, and then we'll continue with the shampoo. So here's me rinsing for the first time. Not going to lie, it was quite difficult doing this by myself for the first time. Just knowing where to pour the water, I had to get used to that, and this sink probably wasn't the best to do it in, and you will see in future foaming and rinsing processes. I actually moved downstairs to the downstairs sink. It was just so much easier, but you know, I got the hang of it after a while. Just, you know, sometimes looking in the mirror being confused. But that's all you do really for the rinsing process. Sometimes it feels like you're not really getting everything off, but you are. That's just what you have to do. You just have to let the water flow over the follicles and just rinse off that foam that you put on. Now, on to the first day of shampooing by myself. Really making sure to add sufficient shampoo. You really want to get a good lather in there, as you see here. And what I was doing first is I was making sure to focus on the donor area. And what they said to do when you're shampooing the donor area is to follow the follicles itself in the way that they grow back. So I was basically lathering the shampoo, putting it onto the donor area and rubbing down on my head. What they don't tell you is you get an extremely tingling feeling, and it's somewhat like pins and needles. It's not as strong as pins and needles, but if you do like pins and needles, like, you know, some weird folk like me do, you will actually like this sensation. It is kind of relaxing, and it does tell you that something is going on and that you are doing what you're supposed to do. Now, moving on to putting the shampoo onto the implanted region, I was basically using the same technique as I did to put on the foam. So what I was doing is I was dabbing the area, and since the hair was already rinsed, that shampoo was lathering nicely with the water already on my hair. And what I was able to do is I was just able to use gentle circular motions to lather that shampoo into the implanted area, making sure to use a little bit of pressure, but not too much to, you know, irritate any of the implanted follicles themselves. And yeah, just repeated that over and over again until I thought there was enough shampoo on the area itself. So now that the washing procedure is done, it was a little bit hectic. First time doing it, not sure if I'm going to stick with that sink method. It's a little bit awkward, especially with the glass and the mirror in the way. But yeah, so now you're not allowed to dry it with a towel, no abrasive, so you're just allowed to use a hairdryer, keep it on the lowest setting you can, and cold air. So not really any warm air to get to it, so just dry it with cold air, and hopefully this goes okay. So that's everything done for today. Just remembered to take my meds as well. So I've taken my antibiotic, my 2 anti-inflammatories, and I've also taken a painkiller too, just in case. But yeah, that was the first time washing my hair by myself, the foaming, the washing, and the drying too. And I think that was the first time drying my hair with a hairdryer, I think, in about 10 years. I don't know, I never really used to dry my hair with a hairdryer. It's always just let it dry naturally or use a towel, so that was a bit strange for me. But I think everything went okay. You know, the hair is dry now. I've tried to get all of the hairs that were coming down out of the donor area and kind of prop them up on top, but it is weird because I can feel that the scabs are there. Even when I was massaging in the foam and the shampoo, I can feel that, you know, there are scabs, and that's good because it's healing and it's healthy. I even noticed some when I was pouring the water out just to rinse the hair. Some scabs were starting to fall off already. It was only like very like little bits, but I think hopefully by day 10 they should all be ready to come off. That's when, you know, you're allowed to remove your scabs and then go back to sleeping normally. You don't have to sleep upright anymore, and you can go back to your normal routine in terms of washing your hair the way you would normally as well, so you can step into the shower as well too. I think I'll be looking forward to that day, but until that day I'll just keep recording this process and hopefully I keep getting more used to it. So yeah, I'll check back in with you tomorrow. So these next few clips that I'm adding in here are basically of day 4, 5 and 6 put together. I'm really just focusing on getting familiar with applying the foam, rinsing that, and then applying the shampoo, really focusing on massaging in with those circular patterns that they told me to do, and rinsing that off as well. I think it's also good to mention that I thought this process was going to be a lot more tedious than it was. I only really needed to learn the process and get myself into a routine to fully understand it. And I think once you have that routine, you have your set times that you're doing, you know, your foaming, your shampooing, it just becomes part of your daily schedule, and it's not that hard to do really. Just focus on the information that they told you and the amount of pressure that you're willing to put on to, you know, not force those scabs off. But yeah, I just think that not many people mention, you know, having a routine is important in this. Like, I know it does seem somewhat obvious, but if you do train yourself for those 10 to maybe 11, 12 days, depending how long those scabs take to come off, it just becomes kind of your daily schedule. You'll be able to see here, I actually did end up moving downstairs just because the sink is a lot better. There's no mirror in my way, and you know, I just have more room really. The only thing is, it just felt a little bit awkward being in the kitchen with my top off, if I'm honest. But you know, I got used to it. I have to deal with the process. You know, it's just something you have to get used to. So yeah, these clips are me getting a little bit more familiar with the process and really focusing on kind of applying pressure to the area, but you know, not too much so that I damage the area. And someone else decided to help me with the process as well. So it is now day 8. I think everything is progressing according to plan. The scabs have gotten a lot firmer, a lot harder, and I've been in contact with the clinic. They sent me a message on, I think, the end of day 6, and I didn't get a chance to record the message yesterday, but what they basically said is I am in the scab shedding phase now. So what I have to do when I'm cleaning, when I'm foaming and shampooing now, is I have to start adding in slight gentle pressure with circular motions on my scalp, making sure not to use my fingertips. And what this does is it'll kind of slowly loosen those scabs that have been hardening over the past few days, and hopefully they should be coming off. Then towards the end of day 10, they should kind of all relatively be gone. So I started that process yesterday on day 7, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to record day 8 again, like normal. Yeah, here we go. Nothing new for this, just the same process that I had been doing for the days prior, using the foam, really making sure that it gets under those scabs, really soaks into them, and yeah, just making sure to use the right amount of pressure and not too much as to force them off. So that's the foam for day 8 done. I've put on more foam now. Day 7 and day 8 have been more foam. I forgot to mention that when they were replying back to me from the clinic, they said the more foam you use on these days, the better, just because it'll help to loosen those scabs a little bit more, especially with that half an hour time. It'll really help get into those areas and kind of get under those scabs. So then when they get under those scabs and you're doing your circular motions, you'll be able to free up those scabs a lot more easily, and it won't necessarily be not as painful, but not as uncomfortable as it should be. So that's what I was hoping for. I did a lot more foam than usual today than I did yesterday, so hopefully that kind of works for me. And I could feel some of the scabs coming off there too, so I think it's heading in the right direction. And one of the other things that I should probably mention is that they said the reason that they only go as a guideline to day 10 is that prolonged scabs can actually have a negative effect on the follicle itself. It kind of can stop it from coming up. So that's why you want to get as many scabs off by day 10 as possible. So yeah, I'll wait for my timer to go off, and then I guess I'll rinse and I'll record the shampoo as I have been doing. I was like, where did you go? You up? Yeah. Now, normally what I would have done during this is I would have rinsed the shampoo off during the previous days, but since the clinic told me I was in the scab shedding phase, they really told me to focus again on that circular motion. So what I'm doing here is I am focusing on that circular motion with my fingertips, really applying that pressure to the area, but again, not too much, rubbing that shampoo in and hoping that it soaks into those scabs to get them off. So now you see me here panning towards the camera and just kind of showing you a bit of what I'm doing using my fingertips, applying that circular pressure towards the crown area. And I'm usually working my way from back to front. That's what they told me to do. Working your way back to front is generally more beneficial. I don't know if you've taken note of me saying that there are some stubborn scabs in the front, and what happens is scabs tend to form together and they latch onto each other, and the clinic said if you start from back to front it'll help loosen those back scabs first, and because those front scabs have attached to the ones in the back, you're then slowly starting to loosen the scabs in the front too. That is now day 8 of washing and drying done. I can feel some of the scabs starting to come off a bit more, just using a little bit more pressure with that circular motion. But a lot of the scabs in my hairline around here, they're still quite firm. So I hope everything is going according to plan there. I might send the clinic a message and see if they think I'm doing it okay, or if they want me to add a little bit more pressure. Again, I'm not sure how much pressure I need to add. I don't want to damage anything too much. But yeah, it's day 8. It's 2 more days to go until day 10. And I think probably on day 10, if they're still there, they might tell me to kind of be a bit more forceful with them. So hopefully I don't need to do too much more. And yeah, hopefully I can get an update from them on my hairline and see if I need to do any more. Just a quick update today, it's day 8. I had some conversations with the clinic yesterday and they said proceeding on to day 8, they would recommend using foam every 10 to 15 minutes and then still waiting that half an hour. So what I did today was I didn't record the procedure or anything. It's basically the same as I've been doing before, but instead of just applying the foam once to the area, I applied it 3 times in the space of a 10-minute gap each. And then I proceeded to wait that half an hour, and then I rinsed it off, and I could see some scabs already coming off in the rinsing process. And then after that, the shampoo was the same as day 7. So basically just really focusing on massaging the area, and again, I could feel more scabs coming off. So I think we're in the right direction. But regards with my hairline, I was still worried about some scabs being a little stubborn there. I can't really get them off no matter how much pressure I put on, and I don't really want to force them. So I contacted the clinic again just a little bit ago, and they got back to me and they said that they can see some scabs are in fact detached, and what that means is even if they don't look detached, they were able to see that they're off of the implanted area, which means that, you know, they are out of the way, and that is a good thing. But they said basically just keep going as I am, and then maybe tomorrow on day 9 to add in an extra basically wash. So do the 3 foaming sessions again, but then also add in an extra wash, and they said that should really greatly help getting off the remaining scabs. So yeah, hopefully it's going well, and day 9 and day 10 can kind of get off these stubborn scabs. Here on day 10, I just did a little bit more in depth with the shampooing. I really took my time, and again, as always, just really focusing on that circular motion when I was lathering in that shampoo. You can see me here again focusing on my hairline. As I said, the scabs here were a bit more stubborn than anywhere else on my hair. So yeah, I was just really taking my time with this. Then I also got a close-up of what it would look like
Just really using that shampoo that's been lathered in to push from back to front and apply that pressure, loosening those back scabs, helping to loosen those front scabs also. Now you can see as I go towards my hairline, I'm starting to focus a lot more on the circular motion, just because those scabs are very stubborn. And then on the side of my hairline, I'm keeping that same circular motion, nice tight circles, really trying to push off those scabs, but not force them off. And I was just really repeating this process over and over again for about, I'd say 10 minutes straight, just kind of massaging in that shampoo. And I know things might look a little bit all over the place, just, with me keeping my hair, but it was actually okay. The shampoo was getting in there and the foam did its job as well to loosen up those scabs. So I don't really see any big difference between keeping your hair or shaving it off. Again, it's just personal preference and it's up to you. That's the first wash of day 10 done. More and more scabs are starting to come off, which is a very big positive. I sent a message to the clinic last night after my 2 washes on day 9, and they said, yeah, everything looks okay. The skin under the scabs looks healthy, and they can even see the follicles growing under that too. So one more wash for day 10 left, and I'm hoping on the last wash of today to really focus on these scabs up here. They're still a little bit stubborn. I'm massaging them as much as I can, but I don't really want to force it too much. Sometimes it does get a little bit irritated and it does start to kind of resemble a little bit of pain. So that's when I stop. They said to put as much pressure as I'm willing to put on it. And I think sometimes it kind of gets to the point where I'm forcing them off and I don't want to do that. So I'm just going to keep at it, and hopefully on the second wash they come out. But on my second wash, what I think I'm going to do is, last night I used the shower. So I put the shower on a really low pressure and it was just enough to be able to kind of rinse off my hair doing that. So I'll do that and I'll see how it goes. So this is what my hair looked like on day 10 after the second wash. Everything went pretty well. I did the same as, the clips you'd seen before on day 10. There's still a few scabs that were pretty stubborn, but like I've said again, I didn't really want to force them off. And the clinic said, usually it's around day 10, but other people take until day 11, 12, even up until day 14. So I wasn't too worried about that. My main focus was just, doing what they told me and continuing on to day 11. I didn't record any of the washing on day 11, it's basically the same, but this is what my hair looked like after the first wash on day 11. We had a lot more progress on getting the scabs off, they felt a lot more loose, and here are just some close-ups of my hairline, and you can see a few little scabs already in my hair. That's just because I kept my hair. If I had shaved everything off, I'm sure they would have kind of come off smoothly in the rinsing. But a lot of those bigger, thicker scabs that were on day 10, they just kind of fell off around day 11 with the same amount of pressure, and everything went well. Just a quick update again. It is day 16 now after the transplant. I think everything has been going, as well as it can be. I've been talking back and forth with the clinic, sending them pictures, and they've been saying that the skin and the scalp is healthy on the implanted area and the donor area. So everything that they've told me to do, I've done, according to my foaming, weighting, and then shampooing and rinsing accordingly with a glass, and then using low pressure on a shower. So that's really all I can do right now. I've been, showering normally again, but I've been using the shampoo, the same method that I've been using to put the shampoo on when it was really sensitive in the area. So I'll still wet my hair and I'll sit down and I'll just kind of shampoo and massage everything in really nicely, make sure that I really get the area and then everything is getting clean, and then step into the shower and then use that low pressure on the shower. So yeah, day 16. I think they'll want more pictures soon, but as you can see, everything has grown in really nicely. That is what my hairline will be once it is done, and hopefully once it grows back. So, I'm in the car now. I said I'd just come in and record in the car.
bit of change of scenery. So I guess that's all I can do, and I'll catch back up with you guys when I have another update. Now, seeing as we've gotten to the end of the video, we've sort of seen the process that I've needed to go through and maintain the new implants as well as the donor area. It's time to talk about the price. So, as you know, I went to Turkey and it would have been way more expensive to get it done in Ireland. So what I ended up paying in Turkey was €3,500. And to be honest, I don't think that was too expensive. Like I said before, I did my research. I picked one of the best clinics, in my opinion, in Turkey, and the price of €3,500, to be honest with you, for the hotel included for a 2-night stay, and the kind of process of bringing me to and from the clinic. They also included one PRP session and one red light laser therapy session after the procedure as well as the medication you've also seen me go through. I don't think that was actually a big ask. In Ireland, I got a few quotes. One of the quotes was €8,000, and to me that was just absurd. Yeah, that price to me was just absurd, especially with all the advancements in this field in recent years. I was not willing to spend that much, and going to Turkey for me seemed like the better option. There was no real complications during travel. I was a bit worried coming back on the plane, having just gone through the transplant, but a lot of people have done the same process and they didn't seem to have any trouble either, and neither did I. Yeah, sure, it was a little bit awkward going through the airport, having my head sort of like not bandaged, but it was still really sensitive, so you had to keep an eye out to not bang your head. And it's always kind of an issue with aircon on the plane and whatever, you just turned it off, but it didn't seem to be an issue. So now just let me take kind of a quick look at how everything's performing. As I said, it's been exactly a month since the procedure, and what you might notice is that my hair, especially on my hairline, has started to undergo the shock hair loss, undergo the shock hair loss kind of aspect now, where these hairs are now shedding, and then they will eventually, hopefully, take and grow back. So now I'm just going to go through that, kind of just do a little pan around and maybe do a little voiceover as well with that. Okay, so this is my hair a month post procedure. That shock loss that I was talking about has started. Those hairs that were there on day 10 and 11 aren't as evident or dark anymore, but that's because they've fallen out. I was talking to the clinic again and I sent them more pictures, and they said actually everything looked perfect, everything looked healthy. They gave me a recommendation to shower every 2 days, and the donor area also seemed to heal well. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how it goes. If you've made it to the end of the video, thank you again for taking the time out of your day to accompany me on my journey. This was a very nerve-wracking process, and I wanted to shed some light and humour on the situation, which I hope you found enjoyable. Once again, undergoing a hair transplant is nothing to be embarrassed about, and if you are someone who is nervous about the procedure, I hope that I made you feel more comfortable knowing that even a simpleton like me can make it through the process. But all jokes aside, if you have any questions, please leave a comment on the video, and I would be more than happy to answer them. Just know that you are strong, you matter, and nothing is ever too embarrassing for a chatter. Catch you in the next one. I should actually boss him. I've already had 2.